Good day and greetings for the Great White North. My name is Prickly Poo and welcome to day 200 of a year of change. 200 full days of doing this. Bravo. This is something I think that we need to acknowledge because it's a significant milestone. I know that we did one for day 100. And I thought that was, going as far as I probably had ever gone before. But 200 days right in a row is a hell of a milestone. So got myself all tarted up and all looking fancy and trying not to get my shirt all riding up. Yesterday it was really bad. I didn't notice it until after everything was all done because I don't feel it. So when I was editing and looking at the end, I was at the video. I was like, it's all, I don't know, just like bunched up on my head like a hoodie. Anyway, so I'm going to try to stay presentable for you today. Not exactly a celebration, but I think it's something that we need to acknowledge because then I know Wednesdays are normally a food thing where we do like snacks or vegetables or fruits or something like that. But we're going to set that aside this week because I think this is something that we really do need to acknowledge. Because for most of us, myself included, this is the longest that we've ever stuck with anything. And whether you've lost a little bit of weight or a whole ton of weight, we have made significant changes over the past 200 days. And that's sort of what I want to talk about. Not necessarily the weight loss itself. I mean, that is a big part of it. I know that we're trying to get healthy and change how we react to food and things like that. But really, I mean, realistically speaking, the weight loss, although it's sort of a byproduct of what we're doing, deep down, that is our goal. We want to get to a healthy weight, one that suits us, one that we can deal with and that we can, sort of live our life that way. But a lot of the time when we're focusing on the numbers on the scale, we sort of miss out on the little things that accompany that. And this is probably geared more towards people that sort of are stuck looking at the scale more than others. I know that I do. I mean, each week we do our weigh-in every Sunday or Saturday or Tuesday or whatever day that you decide to do it. But during that time, that's when we sort of look at the hard numbers and say, okay, am I making progress? And we can sort of follow our graph and take a look at the weight loss that we've done over time. And usually we can see that there's some progress there, even if it's half a pound over the course of a week. And it can get discouraging sometimes when you gain and then you lose and then you plateau and then you gain and then you gain and then you gain and then you lose. But over time, we are making progress. Like over the past 200 days, well, slightly more than 200, but we're going to say 200 days just for the math because it's much easier for me. Over 200 days, I've lost a little over 50 pounds. So I'm going to say 50. So, I mean, ideally, I've complained about this before that it doesn't feel like I'm going fast enough. But in my head, I know that we are going at the proper pace. We need to keep it slow so that we'll stick with it. And obviously, it's working. We've gone 200 days. We haven't broken stride, aside from a couple of times. But overall, when you look at that average, it's an average of 1 pound every 4 days, which is a good pace. If I was losing 2 and 3 pounds every 4 days, that would not be very good. It wouldn't be healthy, and chances are I'm not going to stick with it because it would be too restrictive and it would be something that I would just sort of yo-yo back from. But, so I mean, when we're looking at that, that's really what our focus has been on, is just looking at the numbers, seeing what our progress has been like over time. But there are things that sort of get lost in the shuffle with that. And they're the little victories that, at the time it might sort of dawn on us, but then we set it aside because it's such a strange, slow progression and it's such an odd change that once the change happens, then we just sort of stick with it. So it's not something that is surprising to us. Like, probably the most common one for all of you out there is that whether or not you've actually seen any change in the numbers, that you've noticed that your clothes are fitting differently. Whether they're, which reminds me. All right, here we go. Have to look presentable for you. Whether it's that, you've started to notice that they are sort of not fitting properly, that they're a little bit too baggy, or for some of you that you've been able to actually go back into your closet and put on clothes that you haven't worn in 2 years. I was able to do that at my 50-pound mark, which was really, really nice. And of course, immediately you just go, oh, look, I can fit into this. This is great. It still doesn't look really good because I don't like what I see. But that's part of who we are. It's part of what we've been through our entire lives. It's nothing new. You got to deal with it. But, I mean, the clothes fitting better. Maybe you've gone out and had to actually buy new clothes, so bravo for you. But something like that, that's not something that you can actually actively measure on a scale. And it's one of those things that you can see your numbers dropping, and I mean, because it's so slow, it's not the same as, just showing up at someone, seeing someone that's lost 50 pounds right away and just going, oh my God, you've lost so much weight, because we see it every day. So we don't have that sort of, oh, I'm making really good progress, until you run into a situation like that where your clothes are fitting better, or you're going up the stairs and you decide to go up a little quicker, which I have a story for that. I will tell you at the end of this. It's a bit embarrassing, but it was very funny at the time. One of the weird things it was one of those that I did share with you a while ago, that sort of struck me. And it's, again, one of those things that just after that moment sort of stayed with me. And I had been going out. It was one of those things just really listless. I just wanted to get out and do something. And so I was going out with friends and saying, well, let's go for a coffee at 2 a.m. or something. And just continually doing that for quite a while. And it had dawned on me after a while that the reason why I had been going out and doing so much stuff was because I was bored, which isn't of itself a big surprise. But I realized that for the first time, when I was bored, I wasn't immediately going to food. That wasn't the first thought that I had. And something like that is, I mean, you're never going to be able to actually, quantify it. There's no way of saying, well, this is when you know that you've made progress is at the 3-month mark. You're going to be able to say, well, I've done this. And since then, I mean, it was very nice to sort of recognize it and to realize it. But then after that, it's sort of continued on with that. When I'm bored, I don't really just go for food the first time anymore. But it's become a part of just, I guess, I want to say routine, but it's just sort of become standard fare. I don't know what to say at that point. Anyway, that's one of the things. And I shared a couple of weeks ago that I was talking to someone about donuts. And in my head, I was picturing a single donut, saying, oh, a donut would be good. And it's the first time I've ever thought just a single anything would be good. Because normally you would buy half a dozen or a dozen donuts or something like that. And yes, I know donuts aren't good. I shouldn't be thinking of any of them, but let's be realistic here. It's going to happen. But just being able to say, oh, I would like a donut is another one of those weird little milestones that sort of dawns on you. So that you can look at it and say, obviously we are making progress. It might be something physical for you. I found that it's actually, this was sort of a recent revelation and it's one of those things that when you think back, and I mean, it may not hit you right away. It might be something that you think back and go, yeah, for the past month I've been doing this. And it's just sort of, because it's been so gradual, it's become part of, how you act, that it doesn't dawn on you as really, something significant. But it's a small victory. But it's one of those things that, for me anyway, that I noticed, and I couldn't even tell you how long ago this was, maybe a month, that I realized for the first time in a very long time, I was able to sleep on my back. Which is really weird because it's one of those things that I never was tested, but we did talk about sleep apnea at one point. And a lot of it is just because we're just fat in your throat, our necks. And it's because when you're laying on your back and your muscles relax and everything just sort of, just the weight of it. And the weight loss does help with that. So I've always sort of been a side sleeper, just sort of curled up and like this is obviously just curled up on my side. And it was just one of those things that I noticed that I was sleeping on my back one day, and I can't remember when it was. I didn't write it down or anything, but when I think back now, I think, yeah, I've been doing that more and more, and it may be a small thing, but it's a change that I haven't been able to do in a very long time. Eventually one day I will sleep on my stomach. I can't do that yet. That's a long ways away, but it will happen. Don't worry. Eventually it will happen. Maybe, as I say, going up the stairs a little quicker, or that very first time, if you've decided that, whether you're doing, weights at the gym, or for me, it's cardio. So I'm doing my treadmill. So that very first time that you run that minute or jog. We'll say run. I haven't gotten to the point of running yet. But when you make that progression and you've been walking and say that you think, okay, I've been able to do this for a while, you try that jog. The first time I did it, I couldn't keep up. I don't think I even lasted 20 seconds. The first time I tried to do a jog. Because you're so not used to it. I'm immediately out of breath. Immediately everything just went and seized up and just said, okay, everything stopped working. You can't do that. You need to be able to breathe. You're going to die if you do that. But being able to complete that first minute of jogging, it's one of those things that, that one you can measure. You can measure in seconds. You know what I mean? It's one of those things that feeling that you get from it, it is something that's a little different than looking down at the numbers at the scale and saying, oh, I lost 5 pounds. There's a different feeling that sort of accompanies that. And it doesn't last long because then, just on a daily basis, then you're now running that minute or increasing or whatever you're doing. It's like going up the hill. The first time that I went up the hill, I went up at 7 o'clock at night, and at 7 o'clock the next morning, my lungs were still burning. I couldn't breathe when I was done. I couldn't, I just huffing and puffing and just so out of breath. And it had taken me forever to get up there. And now, I haven't been up there in a while, just usually on days when I can't get a parking space, then I'll go up on the hill. But when I do go up there now, it takes about a third of the time that it used to. And I'm not out of breath by the time I get to the top. And I'm not sweaty, I'm not gross. And it's one of those things that you just sort of accept after a while. That at the moment, it seems like such a big thing. And then 2-3 weeks later, it's just, no, I just go up the hill and get my car. Or, I run that mile or run that mile. Oh, God, I haven't run a mile yet. No, run that minute. That's what I meant. I run for that minute. A 4-minute mile. That's been done. Someone has run for 4 minutes straight and they've hit a mile. That's fucking crazy. Anyway, getting off topic. But whether it's your clothes that are starting to fit better, or it's something that you haven't been able to fit into in a while, or even if you don't fit into it perfectly, but you can fit into it better than you could, that is something that you can't really. Well, again, you can measure that with your measurements. I have never really done measurements properly. Long before I started this, I thought, oh, well, I will measure everything and see where it goes. Don't know where the tape measure went, but I have no idea what, my waist and my legs and my, I was going to say bust. What is it? Chest. Just chest for men. My boobs. There we go. I'm just measuring around my man boobs. I think it is. It's just chest for men. Is it just chest? No, I would think, no, it's bust for women. Okay, good enough. Anyway, I'm going to get off topic now because I don't know. That shows you how little I've measured stuff. I'm just it's big. That's a measurement, I guess. So I don't know if I've lost inches or anything like that. I know that I can fit into clothes that I couldn't before. It's when I'm sort of averaging out my weight loss, it's averaging out to about 1 pound every 4 days, every 4 or 5 days. So I know I'm making progress, so obviously I'm going to shrink. But I haven't really measured it. But again, that's something that you could measure. I'm not really being very helpful, am I? Because these are things, I guess it's the feeling that sort of accompanies that. That when you have that moment where you're craving something and you realize that it's not junk food, or that you're able to, when you're going shopping, you're able to go down a chip aisle or a cookie aisle because you're on your way to get something else. And it's that first time, not necessarily that you don't look at it and go, that would be good, but where you're not just going, I gotta fight that. Okay, don't buy them. When you get to that point where it's not as much of a struggle to go past it. It's a small victory, but it's a victory nonetheless. It's progress that you've made. And over the past 200 days, there have been a dozen little changes like that you've made, and that you've probably hit some of those. And maybe it registered at the moment, and then it just sort of passed, and you're like, no, that's just what I do now. This is, I don't eat an entire box of Twinkies now. I know it sounds weird to call that a victory, but for us, it is. Or maybe it's something that you haven't noticed, and now that you're thinking back and you're going, that's right, you know what? I haven't had, a box of Twinkies in forever. Something that, one of your sort of staples. We've all had them. We've all had that one thing that is our signature junk food. That's what we go to when we're upset, or when we've had a stressful day, or when we're hungry, or when we want a snack. Whatever the reason that we give ourselves, that's our go-to snack. And maybe it's been a really long time since you've had it, and we've had the cravings for it, but you said, okay, well, I'm going to be good. Or maybe you have had it and it maybe doesn't have the same thing, whatever it is. And maybe you have had it and it's still just as good as it was before, but you were able to say, no, I should really watch my calories and I'll have some, and then I just won't eat the entire bag, like sour jujubes. So for something like that, maybe it's just that you realize, okay, I don't have to eat all of it all the time. And it might not be something that registered at the moment, but when you're thinking back now, that you can probably pick up on a number of these things. And even just looking at yourself now from where you were 6 months ago. I mean, I know that we sort of do that every once in a while and just say, look at the different changes that you've made. But if you look at not necessarily even milestones, like say, well, I've lost my 10 pounds here and my 20 pounds there. Or if you've gone, the other way and you're saying, well, I've already hit my 100-pound mark, then fucking bravo for you. But if you looked at stuff and instead of having those numbers on the scale, and say, 2 months ago, this is when I had that moment, when I realized that I could take the stairs, a little bit quicker. Not necessarily running up the stairs, but that you weren't trudging and stopping halfway up. Even going up one flight of stairs, stopping on the landing, and then continuing on. Maybe there was a moment that you're like, I don't do that anymore. I just keep going. It sounds so small and insignificant, but they add up. And they are significant when you look at them. Those are the small things that are going to sort of make or break what we're doing here. Those are the little victories that mean so much in the long run, because it means that you are improving, that what we've been doing is working. And whether you're seeing the numbers on the scale or not, then at least you can take those and say, I know that I'm improving one way or the other. And especially if you're in the gym, like working out and lifting weights and stuff, then you're not going to see much of a change, because there's a huge difference in the amount of weight from fat versus muscle. And if you're gaining muscle, then forget it. The fat is still going to burn away. Don't worry. So you may have noticed like the clothes fitting better and stuff like that more than we would, but you may not notice the numbers going. So it's going to be different for everybody, but where we've sort of hit day 200, think back to, not necessarily just going back 6 months and saying, well, this is what I used to do here, but try to think back, a couple of weeks and then a month and then 2 months and think, what am I doing now that maybe didn't register at that point, or that you had one of those, oh my God, I'm only thinking of one donut moments where, oh, there we go. There's a nice little catchphrase. I just gobbed all over myself. A one donut moment. I like that. So think of your little one donut moment where you realize that there has been a change, whether it's in the way that you're thinking or the way that you're eating, or in your just the time of day that you're eating, or your habits, or that you're able to sleep on your back, or that you run that full minute. Whatever it is, there's going to be something there that you've probably missed along the way, because these changes have been so tiny and we've been doing it for so long that even the change itself is sort of going to go off on a tangent on its own. You're going to make little changes that are sort of off the trail that maybe we haven't addressed, that have registered with you. So it's one of those things that, it's not exactly retrospective, but 200 days is a long time. So if you go back, I'm sure you're going to be able to find something that was my one donut moment. I really like that. I'm going to use that now. Okay, so, yes, no one else is going to know what it is unless they see this, so it's not going to make any sense, but it's going to sound good. A one donut moment. Anyway, there we go. New hashtag. Oh, God, I'm going to start doing... No, I won't do that. I'm going to just start doing what... what was I going to say? I'm trying to think of a nice way of saying an asshole. Doing what assholes do. You go, oh, hashtag whatever it is. But yeah, I'm going to start doing it now. I'm going to join those throngs of Twitter users that are just twatties? Twats? There we go. Twats! Yeah, that works. Anyway, getting off topic. I do want to tell you a story, because it's been a while since we did a story, and I figure day 200, this is a good time to have one. This is actually a very recent one. This happened not last week, but the week before. So 2 weeks ago. And this is sort of in keeping with, making those changes, because generally, I've always taken the stairs when I go to work. I'm sort of stuck on the first floor now, which isn't great. But I was on the second floor, so I always took the stairs, never took the elevator. And it's just you go up one flight, and then there's the landing, and then you go up a second flight. And a couple of weeks ago, I was coming into work, had my coffee, had my water, had my something else in my hands. Can't remember what it was. Stack of papers for something. Anyway, and I was coming in, and I thought, just going up the stairs, and someone came in behind me. Now, normally, I don't know about you, but if someone is behind me, I always feel, no matter what speed I'm going, I always feel that I'm not going fast enough. And part of that is that sort of paranoia that comes with being fat. When you're going, they're staring at me, they're staring at me, they're staring at me, and they're going, you can't even get up the stairs, or move forward, or whatever it is. But I'm also one of those people that, if you're on an escalator, keep walking. Don't just stand there. It's designed to make you go faster, not to take you all the way there. Get on the escalator, keep walking up the stairs, because there are people there that you're driving crazy. Or that little, what do you call it? The thing. The thing in the thing. The airport. Where it's sort of just like a nice motorized walkway. Travelator, whatever you want to call it. Don't just stand there and not move. Just because it's annoying. Or if you are, then tuck yourself over on the side so other people can get past. Because if you run, it feels like you're a superhero. Anyway. So I'm going up the stairs. And I can tell that there's someone behind me. Because they came in behind me. And I'm just like, I got to pick up the speed a little bit. So I'm like second or third stair up. And I thought, okay, I'm just going to sort of not run up the stairs because that would be stupid. But just sort of go like a trot, I guess, whatever the pace is for stairs. And of course, immediately miss the first step. Just completely. Like maybe the tip of my toe hit the step. And of course, just immediately, bam, just paf, right down. Didn't spill my coffee. Or my water was frozen, but didn't spill my coffee. Papers didn't go everywhere or anything else. But of course, now I'm just like half sprawled out on the stairs and this person is behind me. And you hear that noise behind you, and because it's not a matter of, oh, are you okay? It's a matter of, oh, don't laugh. And you can tell. So anyway, pick myself up and brush myself off, start all over again. Because you're just like, oh, I don't know what happened there. Obviously, the stairs aren't made properly. It has nothing to do with the fact that I'm a complete tool. So anyway, I thought, okay, I'm just gonna walk the rest of the way. So I'm walking around, and they're still behind me. They're following me up to the second floor, obviously, because we're taking the stairs. And you want to give them that, they turn around, give them that kind of same look that you always do if you do something really stupid. Like you're like, oh, look what happened. I don't know. So anyway, I turn around and I recognize her. It's someone that works like 3 desks over from where I am. So I know she's not only following me to the top of the stairs and going into the hallway, she's then going into my section. I've got to hold the door for them, and I've got to go all the way down to the other end of the hall to my desk, and they're going to walk past my desk and then go sit at theirs. It's just, there's a whole thing that goes along with it. So as soon as I turn around, I'm like, I have no recourse. I can't say anything. I can't just go, So it's the only thing I could do is that you can laugh if you want, because if it was me, I probably would be laughing at you. She was really good. In her defense, didn't crack a smile. I'm sure that as soon as I turned around and started walking back up the stairs, then she was really holding it in. But got to the door, I opened it, she went through, then she opened hers, and I went through. And of course, it's like when you say goodbye to someone, and then you leave in different directions, and then you go down the stairs, and then you meet up again. Is that awkward? Goodbye again, sort of thing. And so anyway, so of course now I'm going through, and she's behind me again. And the only thing I could do was, I got to diffuse the situation. How do I do this? So as soon as I get to my desk, and there's like 6 or 7 different people that I work with, as she's walking by, I just fell up the stairs. It's the only thing you can do is just embrace it and say, fuck it. I'm just going to say, good enough. Here's what happened. Because honestly, if it was me and someone was walking in front of me and they fell up the stairs, then they're a tool. Then yes, I'm going to laugh at them. You can't fault someone for laughing at you if you do something really, really stupid like falling upstairs. Falling down the stairs is a little bit different because there's a lot more pain involved. And now I'm saying that, we talked about escalators. Falling down an escalator would be terrifying. But falling up the stairs, I didn't really get hurt all that bad. It's just like you scrape your knee, and you feel like an idiot. Nothing's bruised but your pride and your bones. So it's fine. I'm still going to laugh at someone that falls up the stairs. I'll still feel bad and help them up, but I'm going to laugh at them. And so I can't fault someone else for doing the same. But in her defense, she didn't laugh out loud, I think, until she got to her desk. Then I think she probably just sat down and went, oh my God, you have no idea what I just saw. But anyway, it's been a while since I told the story, but that's not really a milestone story. It's not something to be proud of. But this is what happens when you try to go, oh, I can do this, and you try to take a little skip jump up the stairs, and you're just uncoordinated because you don't know what the hell you're doing. But anyway, there's a little story to take back with you. So we should probably get back to those as well. But this is a very recent one, so it's not really a fat one. It's just more of I'm a complete knob and a bit of a klutz, and can't seem to navigate my feet when I'm going up the stairs. So enjoy that. But in summary, go back, take a look at yourself over the past 200 days, which is much more than 200 days. But if you want, you can restrict yourself just to the 200, or you can do the full 200. So when you look back, look at what you're doing now, and it might be something that's really insignificant to you. But if it's a change that you never would have even thought of 6 months ago, then at least take credit for it. It's something that you should be proud of. And whether it's been a conscious thing or a subconscious thing, it means that what we're doing is working. You're making progress, and that long term, this is going to stick with us. We're going to be able to continue on doing this, and we are going to get to where we want to be. And if you're not seeing the numbers that you want to see on the scale, they will come in time. And whether it's a matter of you working out so much that you're building muscle alongside of the fat, or just that your progress isn't as fast as you'd like it to go, some of us are in there with you. Whether it's for whatever situation, if it's the gym thing or if it's just the progress thing. I'm sort of in the progress thing, but we don't want to pick up the pace. We don't want to speed things up. What we're doing is working, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So we're going to keep going. But I'm not going to keep going because this is going on far too long. This is quite a while. I'm going to try to keep this under half an hour though. So still, I'm going to try to... Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to leave this video here. So thank you very much for sticking with me for 200 days, and thank you for watching the video. If you liked it, please poke the like button for me. In the meantime, keep yourself warm and fuzzy, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.